Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world, the world of Wayne. We've now got pack 2 of the Agora Models presentation of Bismarck, the legendary battleship. Now, if you're a little bit confused why we're doing pack 2 when we're up to issue 100 of the HINGED one, it's because Agora Models has now made this available to extra territories around the world so you can actually get this for yourself. So if you've seen me building this in the past, you've now got the opportunity to actually get this from pack 1 and join the build with me. And for that reason, I'm actually building again so you can work alongside with me while we build it. In pack 2 is no different because we're going to start doing all the anchors and the gears and motors, all electrics in this one, so I can't wait for that. But if you want to get this for yourself, just head over to agoramodels.com down the bottom there. You can actually subscribe to this through pack 1, and it isn't just the UK, it's other territories around the world, so just check out the Agora Models website. And if you're unsure, they do have a live chat function and you can email them as well to ask questions, and you'll be able to join me along with the build. Now, we've got 12 stages in each pack now. The first pack, which I've put a link up here just in case you haven't seen that video, was 8 stages. From now on, it's 12 stages per pack. All in all, there's 140 stages in this collection, which I believe is over 12 months or 24 months, depending on what option you picked on the Agora Models website. But this is going to be a fun one, so without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, so taking some parts from pack 1, this is what we're left with the anchors at the moment, looking like that with the anchor chain. We're going to be putting some cogs just in the middle there. This is what the first stage looks like on this pack. This is stage 9, so let's get this open. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to take this cog here. This cog is very similar to this one, but it hasn't got a peg. You see this one's got a peg in the middle, this one hasn't got one. And basically this is going to be sitting over this hole just here. So we're going to be putting this in just like that, and we're going to be putting one of the pins, we've got 2 pins in this pack, just down the center to make sure that's seated perfectly in there like that. Next thing we want to do is take the cog with the peg, and that's going to be going next to it once again with one of the pins down the top there, and that's going to go into the hole that we've got next to it just there. So I'll put this one in. Now what we need to do is we want these pins to fall a little bit flatter, so we need to lift it up just a little bit there, because this cog that we're putting in now is actually going to go through the base of this gearbox housing here, because the next one looks just like that with a crown on top. It's just going to go right next to it into that point right there. Now when we put these cogs on, I've already put one on this side, we just need to make sure these pins, as you can see, you've got a spliced side on one end of the pin and the other side is quite flat. We need to make sure that the mark side is going through the hole in here, so it's coming out the bottom. This is what the capstans are going to attach to. It is a little bit tricky to get them in, so you do have to sort of force it. So rotate it around just like this until it goes all the way in. And there we go, that's in. Once again, just check by turning one of the cogs that all of them move like that, no problems at all. Now I'm going to put this on top of my little oil pot here, because if I was to put that on the flat surface, the gears will want to push up, because we need the motor now, and we need this attachment, which I believe came in stage 7 of the last pack. And as you can see, we've got a square end there. I'm just going to put this on top and then lie the motor in the gearbox, making sure that this wire here is pointing upwards. Now the end of this goes on that cog, and this spiral section here is going to fit over the cog just in between these wheels here. So it's going to go on just like that. Now the next thing we're going to put on is the limiter switch, which looks like this. It's going to go in here, but we just want to make sure that this peg that was coming out here fits quite tight against that. So what I'm going to do is just rotate it around a little bit, just a touch, around about there should be perfect for this to go into place just here. Now what we need to do is pin all this together by putting the base on top. Make sure, again, my motor's revolved around there, the motor is facing upright like that, and then we'll put the base just over the top. Now when you put the base on, make sure all the pins for the gears and the cogs are in their corresponding holes up here, and then we should be good to just pin that together just like that. And now that is all completely enclosed. And to do that, we need to put 6 screws, which are PB screws, just into these holes here. So I'll get these open. So that's 1, And I'll repeat this for the other 6. When that's in, it's all encased, looking just like that. As you can see, we've got these pins standing up right here. When these rotate, this is going to rotate the capstans there. But what we need to do is attach this to the underside of the deck now. So we've got the deck here at the moment. Now remember, we have got some details on here which are quite delicate. So I'm just going to lift this up on a little bit of padding, so when I turn this upside down, I'm not going to squash anything. And I've got that just here, just a little bit of foam there that I found. Now to put this on top, what we need to do is we need to put these anchors through these 2 holes that we can see just here and here. This is going to be quite a fun game to do. Just so that they go through, that's one side in, to the other side. And there's the second one. And then guide that all the way down. Probably best to actually push it now. There you go, all the way down. Till we can safely line this up and put this over the top. Just like that. Now this is going to be held in with 4 PB screws. So I've got them here. Let's get all 4 of these in. And there you go. Once that's in, it should look just like that. And now as you can see, we've got these anchor wires coming out from the guides here. Now just a lesson in colours here. This is the port side, being the left side of the ship. This is the starboard side, being the right side of the ship. Now port is always red, so we want the red capstan here looking like that. We're just going to be pushing that over the top of the spindle that comes through here. Now you don't need to glue this. It should fit absolutely perfect on, just like that. We're going to be doing the same with the starboard side, but this one's actually green. So we can put that on the other spindle, just like that. And then the last detail we need, very tiny one that we had in the first pack, looks just like this. This is actually just going to go over the center spindle that we can see just there. This one is going to need a touch of glue. Now something you'll learn in this build is when I say a touch of glue, I mean just that. It doesn't need much at all, just enough to keep it on. The less is better on this build. I'm just holding that in place. And then what will happen is when those gears turn, this will turn and also the capstans will turn as well. Now for that to happen, what we need to do is put the anchor chains round the bottom of the capstan, and then the other side of these anchors go through the anchor guards that we put just at the end here. So holding it down this way, we push that through. That's the first one out, and make sure it sits flat, just like that. We do the same on the other side there. There we go. And then the anchors are all ready to attach to the front of the chains there. Now if you remember, we actually put on the rings for the anchors in the last stage. What we're going to be doing now is actually putting these on the chain. Now to be honest with you, you're definitely going to need some glasses like this, because this is a little bit fiddly. Not going to lie to you, that was pretty hard to do, but there we go, they're on. My advice, use magnifying glasses and also tweezers. But that's all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 10, looking like this, we're going to be working on the second section of the upper deck. So I'll get all of these parts out. As you can see, we've got quite a few details here. We're starting to work on our sprues now as well. So I'll get everything out. And the first thing we need is this section here, which is the barbette. That's going to fit in here. Eventually it's going to house the 38cm gun. But all we need to do is push these in, push 2 sides in, and then revolve it round, and then just push the others in, and you'll find that it will slip in just like that. This doesn't need glue, holds itself in pretty strong there. We do need glue for the next stage though, which looks like this, which is going to house the breakwaters on. So I've got some glue here. We just want to put some glue just into these channels. Once again, as you can see, I'm using my pin so I don't put too much glue on the deck here. On this side and just one this side, and then as you can see at the bottom of here, I've got some lugs. They're just going to go over the top of those sections there. Hold it all the way around, make sure that's a good fit in there and there's no gaps around there at all. And there we go, that's in. Now if you have a look at this sprue, we've got this tiny detail at the top. That is just going to go onto the forward points into the hole just there. Just need some sprue cutters here, and I'll cut this detail off. Get some glue just into that hole there. Then we'll put this detail just at the front, making sure it's fully in that hole and sitting perfectly straight just like that. Now we've got these vents here to go to the side, so we get these off. They're pretty much going to follow the line of the imprints that we've got just there. So I'll do the back one first. Has got a slight tilt on that. The tilt goes towards the bow of the deck. So that's the first one in. Then we do the same on the back one. The back one is actually shaped there, so this can only go in one way, just like that, and that's those two details in. We've got a large vent detail now, which is just going into the space that we can see just here. So once again, I'm putting glue just around the hole and just in the inside here. That should be enough to hold all of that into place like that. And then the last thing on that sprue are just these tiny skylights here. So we get both of these off, and they're going to go into these templates that we can see, one on this side and one on the other side there. If you look at the detail, they do have a dot on one side. It's that dot that faces towards the front of the ship. So what I'll do is I'll get these in, and I will show you what that looks like. Put the other one in this side. And as you can see, they look like that with those little tiny dots there facing towards the front. Now on the next sprue, we've got a hatch, and then we've got some more skylights here. So what we need first is the hatch. Take that one off. The hatch hasn't got any details on it, but it does have two lugs at the back. They're going to go just behind the first detail that we initially put in here. Just like that. And then all the other skylights, we're going to be putting 5 of them just at the back here. So I think the easiest way to do that is if I put the glue on first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then as I cut them off, I will attach them onto the deck. Now they are square, but what I will do is I'll try and keep them all the same way round, because the grill pattern in the middle does have a sort of horizontal or vertical line to it, so they just go in like this, making sure they're all square, looking really good. That's all the skylights in. Now to finish that stage, we're going to be taking the bow side of the deck here, and we're just going to be attaching this side to this to extend it out. So these go over the lugs that you can see, just like this here, pushing it into place, and it's going to be held in with 4 PB screws. Now if you notice, I'm keeping this upright in my hand because obviously there's some quite delicate details on the front, and I don't want them getting bent if I was to put this down. So I'll put the rest of these 3 screws in now. Turn that back around, and as you can see, that's all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 11, we're going to start putting another whole piece in, and we've got some stands. Now these stands are going to be invaluable through the whole build to keep everything straight and upright. So I'll get these open. And quite simply, we need to take the whole piece that we had in stage 4. We're going to be attaching it to this whole piece that we've got in this stage here. And quite simply, as you can see, we've got a tab over the top. It's just going to go over the top like that to fit them together as one piece. But we do need a screw in here, and that screw's a PM screw. They are silver screws looking just like this. So I'll put that in there, get that nice and tight. And that's those sections attached together now. And if we bring over the side of the ship that we worked on in the first stage, this is actually just going to go into this section here. So just like last time when we put this side on, which is the starboard side, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing just with the port side here. And we're going to be piecing that together with 5 of the PM screws. So I'll start with the one just at the end here. Make that nice and tight. I'll do the end one over this side, and then I'm going to do the next 3. And there you go. When that's in, it should look just like that. Now to assemble the stand, quite simply, we've got two braces here. The first one is obviously going to hold the nose section, and these just push in like that. The second one's going to hold the next section back just like that. So when we actually put this on, which is going to stand up all by itself, we slide the front section onto there like that, then rest the back section on there just like that. So now that holds its own weight, and that's all there is to do in that stage. Stage 12, we're going to be doing the gearbox for the forward gun turret, which is Anton. So we get all of these out, and then we want to bring over the deck again, turn it upside down, because we're going to be putting this first gear onto the barbette here. So what we want to do is take the gear that looks like that. That's just going to go on the underside of the barbette. At the same time, we're going to be taking the 38 centimeter gun turret there, Anton. We're going to be putting that through the other side here, so we can join all of these up together, and they should all line up like that. But what should happen is we've got a little plastic arrow just on the front there. When that's facing towards the bow of the ship, the turrets there should also be pointing towards the front of the ship, so you know that's going to be in the right place. But we're going to secure this in with some PB screws. Now on this side here, it just takes 2 PB screws. So here's the first one, and that will hold everything together. Get another one here, and that's just going down the bottom in this side here. Now we should be able to have quite free movement of, as you can see, the gun to go up and down just like that. Well, if I turn that arrow again just round to the front there, as you can see, the turret is pointing forward as well. Now because we're working on the front of the deck here, I'm going to use my little jig here just to keep this upright, because we're going to be working on this section. But we can just put it to one side for a second, because we need to make another gearbox housing. So we need the bottom of the housing here, we need the cog that has got the cross in the top of it, and that's just going to drop into that section just like that. Then we need the very large cog looking like that with the pin on it. That's just going to go gently just in there for a second. We have got a brace that's going to go just through the center there to keep that in. I'm going to be screwing that in. So I've got the screw here, I'm just going to put that through the center there and tighten that up just like that. That keeps that in place, but it should still be able to turn, and it turns the other gear, as you can see, just like that. Keeping this down the bottom here, we've got a bracket to put over that cog there, and we need to make sure it faces in this direction so that the bent section here is facing towards the front curved section of the gearbox housing. We're then going to take one of these pins and drop that down the first cog that we put in. A little bit fiddly all of this. Now the pin that I'm putting down here hasn't got any splines on it. There is another pin which has got splines on, which we use later. We don't use that now. So that's looking pretty good just like that. We're going to close this up just like that there, and we're going to seal that with 4 2x6mm PB screws. And there we go, that's on just like that. We can bring over the ship again now, because what we're going to do is we're going to be taking this end here and putting it, if I just show you here, in the turret channel that we can see just there. To be honest with you, it's probably best to look at the pictures that you've got in the magazine there. But it's going to go in like that. It's going to be held in with one of the pins, or the only pin we've got, with the splines on it. So we put it in one side first. Going to be a little bit tricky. Probably want to hold it up by the wire, actually. That will help out. Push the pin in one side. Get it through to the other side, and then just use some pliers. I've got some duckbill pliers here, just to push that pin all the way home. Just like that, and as you can see, that's now attached to the gun. That's all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 13, we've got another bit of the keel here, and we've got some of the hinge supports for the gear that we just put in. So I'll get all of these out, and it's these supports that I'm more interested in. So when I bring these over, I'm going to be working on this side first. The supports are actually just going to go into the base here, but they're also going to support this actual gearbox housing on this side. So to put these mounts on, all we're going to do, take one of the mounts here, and it's just going to go over these two lugs that we can see at the side there. It's going to be held in with a PB screw. I already loaded a PB screw up with that. So this one will be going in this side. Make sure you've got the right side. This curve here should follow the curve of the cog at the bottom, because eventually this is going to attach just there. We do exactly the same on the other side here. So I'll just load a screw up, and we'll get that in this side, just like that. Screw that home, and then using PB screws, we're just going to attach this now to the white gear that we've got just at the bottom there. And there you go. Now obviously this is still able to turn, but that is fully mounted. It's not going anywhere. Now I can put all of that to one side, because we've got quite a fiddly job to do now. We've got to basically take these breakwater supports looking like that. We've got some metal sort of like supports that go on them in this bag here. So we get them open, and I'm going to do one because it is quite fiddly to do. You are going to need your glasses for this one. I'll take one of these supports off the sprue here, and I say simply, we're going to be pushing this into this plastic section here. So we've got a support looking just like that onto that section there. We need to repeat that. I think it's about 8 times. So let's do that now. There's actually 10 of these in total, but there you go. They're all done. Now these are going to line the breakwater just around this side here. So what we need to do is drop some glue just into the first channel that we see there. Take one of these, and then we put the base into that channel just like that, and then the breakwater just leans up against the edge there. We need to repeat that for all 10. They're all in. I'm not going to push them back towards the breakwater until that glue's dried, but take your time on that section, because you really want to get them all straight. If the bases are straight, then your breakwaters will be straight. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 14, we do have a motor for the forward turret here. So I'll get this open. I'll take off the lead here. And what we need is the cog that we had here from stage 12. Now what we're going to do is this side here, which is raised, we're actually going to be pushing onto the motor just like that. Then I'm going to bring over the ship again, because the motor is just going to mount these points just here. It's going to sit on here, but we need to make sure that the cog is engaged with the round cog in the center. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to get a chance later, is make sure that that's dead center to the middle, engage the cog, and then we're going to be screwing that in with some flange screws. These are PWB screws. Supporting that here. I'm not screwing them all the way down, just enough to line them up, and then I'll make them tight. And when that's in, it should look just like that. Just turning this over, just so we can see what this looks like again. That's all there is to do in that stage. Stage 15, we've got another keel section here, and we've got some more breakwaters. So we're going to be making those exactly like we did last time and attaching to the ship. We'll do that afterwards. But what we need to do on this one is we want to take this other keel section here and the keel section that we had from stage 13, and we're actually just going to put this on the port side. It's going to go just over the top here and here, just over those tabs there. It's going to be held in once again with these silver screws, which are 2 times 4mm screws. So I'll put them in first. Here's the first one, nice and tight, and then one more just in the other side there. And there we go, that's another kill piece in place. I can put that to one side because now I'm going to make another 10 of these breakwaters. And once you put all of those in, they should look like that. Again, I've put these towards the breakwater now. Once these are dried, I'll push them down as well. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Now, stage 16, we've got the forward elevation motor. So I'll get this open. Now this motor's just going to go into this section here with the wire here pointing towards the back of this gearbox. So it's going to go in kind of like that. It's going to be held in just with 2 screws. They came in this stage, they're PB screws. So I've got them here. That's the first one. I'm not putting them in all the way until I've got it lined up. And there's the second one. And then we'll screw that all the way home. Once that's in, that's all there is to do in that stage. Now in stage 17, we're going to be assembling the first control board, which looks just like this. Lots of plugs around the side there. We do have some screws as well. We've also got a cable tie. So if I bring back what we were working on before here, basically the control board's going to go on top of the gearbox housing that we had here. Obviously we've got an indent in here, that's just going to go on just like that. Keep that all in one place. Now that's going to be secured in with PB screws, 3 PB screws. So we've got one just at the top here. Again, I'm not tightening them up too much, just enough to keep this lined up. Then I'll tighten them up all afterwards. Now as you can see, that's in perfectly. Now we're going to start connecting some of these wires up. So the first wire, which comes out of the back of the gearbox here, is going to go through the loop that we can see just on the top of the PCB here, and it's going to be plugged into point number 2 just on this side here. So making sure the pins are the right way round, we can just push this in. Just like that. Then we're going to take the switch cable here, and that's going to go in number 3, right next to it. Push that all the way in. Excellent. Then we want to take the cable that's coming from the turret. So it's the lower cable there. We're going to be putting it through the hook on this side. Just like this. And that's going to be connected into port 6 on this side. Make sure that's all the way in, just like that. The next one, the elevation motor, exactly the same. It's going to go underneath this section here. And that's going to go into port 8, which is at the end here. Again, make sure it's all the way in there. And then the rotation motor here, once again, will be going through the eyelet here. Just keeping all the wires tidy, and that's going to go into the one between these two here, which is port 7. And again, make sure that's all the way in. So all the wires are now connected to that control board. We just want to keep things tidy here. So they want us just to put a cable tie around these two leads here, not the ribbon cable, just these two here. So I'm going to keep the wires quite tight. Tie the cable tie here. just to keep those two wires together. And then I'll snip off the excess with my sprue cutters. And that is all there is to do in that stage. We've got a test box, which is good. We're going to get to try this out, make sure everything's working. So we get two cables with this one. The cable we want has got 3 holes just in there. What we need to do is just plug that into the corresponding section of the tester board, looking like that, just like that. Make sure that's in all the way. And then what we're going to do is take the control box, the battery box that we had from pack 1, and we're going to connect this to this side just like that. This is primed and ready to go. Now, this cable here, I cannot emphasize enough, you really need to keep this cable safe. You're not going to need it till like stages 80 to 90. So, you know, a good like 8 months down the line. You really don't want to misplace this. So keep this in a safe place with big arrows on it saying don't chuck, keep nice and safe, because you will need that later. Have I emphasized that enough? Good. I'm going to put that to one side. We'll get testing the electrics. Okay, so on this side of the control board, you see we've got one more vacant slot here. This is where we're going to post or plug the test board into, and we're ready to start. Now, when we turn this on, I'm just going to hold it the best way I can. Push these breakwaters forward there. Excellent. When we turn this on, what should happen is the gun should do a priming session. So it should turn to the starboard side, as you can see there. It should sort of like struggle for about 5 seconds, and then it should turn, yeah, and it turns back just like that. So that was a successful test so far. Now what we're going to do is press button 1 on the controller, and that should operate this gun so that it should revolve and start firing. There you go. That's working really good. When you press it again, it will line itself back up to top dead center. And then button 2, S2, should raise and lower the anchors here. So I'll show you the capstans moving. As you can see, they go one direction and then the other direction there. And again. And what that's doing, if I just show you this side here, they're just making the anchors go up and down. So that, so far, is a successful test. I'm just going to stop that there, and that's all there is to do in that stage. Now, stage 19, we're going to be doing the jackstaff and bow lights. We do have a piece of deck here as well. Okay, the first thing we want to do, just like last time, we want to take the babette and we want to stick this into this hole here. Once again, line up 2 sides, push them in, and then do the same on the other 2 sides all together. You just hear it click when it goes in. 1, 2, there we go, that's in perfect. It's not going anywhere. We then want to bring over the forward deck that we've been working on, turn it over again, because we're going to be working on this section just at the end here. Let me just sort this anchor out so that it can go in the right position over here. That's it. And we need to break off a tiny part from the sprue that we got here, which is the optic fiber guide, looking just like that. Now this is just going to go into the front just here, and it's just a push to fit, so we can just put that in like that. We've then got some really tiny plugs on some sprues here, so I'm going to get them off now. And these plugs are just going to go into the top of the jack staff there. You can see that you've got a little hole at the top. This is just going to get pushed in like that, just to blot the end out like that. You can put a touch of glue on that if you wanted to. I haven't done that yet. We then want to take the optic fiber here. It's quite a funny material, this one. It's not like normal optic fiber. It's quite manipulative, but you need to tie a knot just in one end of the cable here, just like this. And the tighter you pull it, the more it's not going to want to undo. So I'm just making sure that's as tight as I can get it. And there we go. That looks just like that. Now we've got a hole just in the side of the jack staff. We're going to thread this cable through that hole so it comes out down the bottom there. So I'll push that in. Keep pushing till it comes out the bottom like that. Push it hard so that we've got the knot still on the outside just like that. Now you want to make sure that that knot is tight, because we're about to trim just the excess off this end here, just with my sprue cutters, just like that. So there we go, that's in place. We want to bring over the forward deck now, looking just like that, and we want to thread the optic fibre through the hole just at the end of the deck there, all the way down. Now when this sits in, it's going to sit in with that knot facing the front of the ship. We're then going to take the support for the jackstaff here, I'm going to put that over the top, and it's going to be glued in to the deck just there. So I've got some glue ready. What I'll do is I'll just pick that back up again, drop some glue just into the holes here and here, and that will support all of that being exactly where it needs to be. Now I'm not gluing the support to the jackstaff, because if I need to rotate that round to make sure that that knot is facing forward, I still can. Now when I'm happy with that, I need to turn this upside down, just like that, and I need to thread another guide through the optic fibre there. Now that guide is really tiny, it's on the sprue, it looks just like that. Now that's going to go just into the position right here where you can see just an indent in there. So I'll thread that on, just like that. We'll drop some glue just into that channel there, and I'll get this in. And when that's in, it should look just like that. We then need to trace the optic fibre just into the channel here, push that into the groove there, and then we need to cut off the excess that we can see just into this section here, which is pretty much where the LED is going to go. So we want to make sure when we cut it off, we cut that flat. So when that's cut down, it should look just like that. We're then going to take the LED here, and that's just going to go into the recess that we can see there, and then that's going to be held down with a cover. The cover's the last thing on the sprue, just like that, and that's going to be held in with a DP screw. And there we go, that's in place like that. Now we're going to be securing this into port 1 of the control board, which is just around this side here. So I'll put that in like that, and then once again we should be able to test this now. So I'll plug in the control board again, turn it over so it starts the initialization, and this time I'm going to press number 3 on the test board, and that should light up the bow staff there. So I'll wait for that to do its little thing where it just calibrates itself, and then I'll have you on the close-up camera there. When I press S3, you can see the light comes on, the bow light there. That means all the electrics are working. Absolutely brilliant. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Now stage 20 is the last stage of this pack, is another whole piece. So I'll just get all these parts out, and just like we did last time, we're going to be assembling, just take the protective plastic off here. We're just going to be putting the other kill side on here just like that first off. So once again, we're going to be putting 2 times 4mm screws in that to keep that in place. So one in this side, just like that, and then one in the other side. We're then going to bring over the stand that we just had right at the start of this pack, just like this, and we're going to be attaching some brackets just to these sections here on this side, here on the other side again. Once again, they're going to be held in just with these 2 PM 2 times 4mm screws. Now they are directional, so make sure you put them in the right way. My ones are actually labelled on the starboard side 03 at the end, and on the port side 02 at the end. So when that's in, it should look just like that. Then all we're going to do is put the next kill section just over the top of those bits that we put in there to attach all of these together. And once again, they're held in with, you guessed it, 2x4mm screws. So here's the first one. Make sure that's nice and tight. And the second one just in the other side here. And again, make sure that's nice and tight. And that is the kill section in place. That's all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. So I just want a quick review of what we've actually got all the way up to pack 2 now. So we've done the stand so far, the bow with the stand, and we've started doing the keel area. We've got a bit of deck there that we've done, and we've also done this massive section here, which is attaching all the electrics to the forward deck here. Made sure they all work. Let's just untangle the anchor here. And then the last thing we've got is the catapults there and the Arado plane, which we're not going to need till far later in the build, but that is absolutely everything we've done up to pack 2. Now I think what you'll really like about these builds is that's taken me a good almost 3 hours to build. So when you get these packs, you've got plenty to do, keep you occupied. But if you do want to get this all the way from stage 1, then head on over to agoramodels.com and you'll be able to get this for yourself. They have got other things that we're doing. I'm doing the Terminator from Agora Models, as you can see behind me. You can also get the Shelby Super Snake there, and right on the top shelf just up there we have got the Shelby Cobra, which is absolutely brilliant build. But I really do hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.